Welcome back, listeners. This is the Witching Hour. I'm the Ghoulish Gentleman, and I'm here with.
Morbid Morticia.
All right, and in today's episode, we're actually starting The Perfect Murder.
Yay.
Yay!
All born.
A lot of applause.
Yes.
Thank you. But no, I'm excited for this one. This is gonna be the first episode of an ongoing series. Because really, there's a lot of content for this one.
Mm-hmm.
We'll try to explore like some of the ones that Oh well, I guess before a little brief description. This segment basically is going to be about different murder cases. Some solved, some unsolved. Basically different ones that catch our eye, like today's, for example. But yeah, we're gonna try to get like the most obscure ones that you don't really like hear about. Trying to find like some that really didn't make like or get a lot of coverage. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But all right, let's get it started. Which one do we have today?
Okay, so today we have the case of Junko Furuta. I've um I've heard of this case and me quedé traumada like hella. So yeah, just a trigger warning. This case is really intense. There's a lot of rape and the murder story of Junko Furuta. Junko Furuta was a 16-year-old Japanese girl who underwent 44 days of rape and torture before dying in the hands of her captors on November 22nd, 1989. Known throughout Japan as the concrete and case high school girl, the case of Junko drew nationwide attention owing the sheer brutality the girl had endured before death found her. Just like any other normal student, Junko had her own aspirations and dreams which she wanted to fulfill. Not just that, she even had other qualities for which she liked by all her other classmates. She neither had the habit of smoking or drinking, she was also away from drugs. As she should, we love a non-drug person. Non-drug person? Is that even a thing?
A sober person?
Yeah, just say that. Non-drug.
I am non-drug, non-alcohol. So you're sober.
Yeah, just say that.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, perdón. Okay. Then she met Hiroshi Miyano. Miyano was known as the school bully, often seen bragging about his connections to Yakuza, a powerful Japanese organized crime. According to their classmates, Miyano had developed somewhat of a crush on Furuta and was enraged when she turned him down. After all, no one had ever dared to reject him, especially after he told them of his Yakuza friends. A few days after taking his rejection, Miyano and Minato were hanging around a local park in Misato preying on innocent women. As known as experienced gang rapists, Miyano and Minato were experts in spotting easy targets. Around 8:30, the boys noticed Junko on her bicycle on her way home from her job. Minato kicked Furuta off her bike, expertly creating a diversion, at which point Miyano stepped in, pretending to be an innocent and concerned bystander. After helping her up, he asked if she wanted an escort home, which Furuta unwittingly accepted. She never made it home. Instead, Miyano led her to an abandoned warehouse where he told her of his Yakuza connections and raped her, threatening to kill her and her family if she made a sound. He then took her to the park where Minato, Ogura, and Watanabe were waiting. There, the other boys raped her and smuggled her into Minato's home. Junko Furuta's parents called the police and reported their daughter missing. The boys made sure they wouldn't go looking for her, forcing her to call home and say that she had run away and was staying at a friend's house. Whenever Minato's parents were around, Furuta was forced to pose as his girlfriend, though they eventually began to catch wind of what was really going on. Unfortunately, the threat of Yakuza was enough to keep them quiet, and for 44 days, Minato's parents lived in alarming ignorance of the horrors that were happening in their own home.
So, these guys were already experienced in this shit? So they had...
Yeah.
Jesus, okay.
Yeah.
Like...
So yeah, they already done this before. They have raped these women at this local park where they would go home or go to work and they'll be by themselves. And so pretty much they would just like snatch them and, you know, rape them and do whatever to them because they were in the Yakuza.
Right.
So.
See, like, in that situation, you'd figure like somebody would step up, you know, say something like, if they're going to the same park every time,
yeah,
you'd figure somebody would step up and be like, okay, well, this is happening and it's still happening.
Right.
You know, after the first time, that's like, oh, somebody at that point had to have stepped up and say something. But I feel like with how, I guess, the culture is over there, it's all about keeping it all hush hush.
Yeah.
You know, like nobody wants that, I guess, embarrassment.
Right. Yeah, that's how they are over there, so that's the sad part.
Christ.
Over the course of those 44 days, Junko Furuta was raped over 400 times by Miyano and his friends, as well as other boys they knew, whom they invited over and encouraged to hurt her. When they weren't raping her, the boys forced her to do terrible things, like eat live cockroaches, masturbate in front of them, and drink her own urine. Her body, still very much alive, was hung from the ceiling and beaten with golf clubs, bamboo sticks, and iron rods. Her eyelids and genitals were burned with cigarettes, lighters, and hunt wax. And I'm just gonna list some other things they did to her. Was provided with only limited supply of food and water. Nose filled with so much blood that she can only breathe throughout her mouth. Heavy bleeding with scissors being shoved in her vagina. Had fireworks forced up in her rectum and set off, causing severe burns. Had her left nipple ripped off by pliers.
Jesus.
Had dumbbells dropped on her stomach while laying on the floor with her hands and feet tied up. This resulted in the loss of bowel control. Was kept in a freezer for several hours. Had her breast pierced with sewing needles. Had her vagina and clitoris burnt with cigarettes and lighters. And had a hot lit bulb inserted in her vagina and rubbed until it exploded inside.
God.
Fuck that.
Fuck
all that. I know. I'm like, the nerve that these guys had to do all that just because she said no.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. Like, reading it and like hearing it, I just like, it's crazy to me. Like, the nerve, I can't.
Because they're just, how old were they?
They were, some of them were like 18, 16, 17 years old.
They're kids, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
God.
Twice the police were alerted to Furuta's condition and twice they failed to intervene. The first time, a boy who had been invited over to Minato's house by Miyano went home after seeing Furuta and told his brother about what was happening. The brother then told his parents, who contacted the police. The police showed up but were assured by the Minato's family that there was no girl inside. The answer was clearly satisfactory enough for the police, as they never returned to the home. The second time, the attackers were resting after drinking. She tried to call the police but was caught and punished by having her feet set on fire with burning lighter fluid. Large bottles the boys forced up her anus caused internal injuries and ugly bleeding. Severe leg burns and badly bruised muscles left her unable to walk after 20 days of her ordeal. She couldn't handle any with her hands anymore because her bones were smashed with weight and her fingernails cracked. Since it was winter, she was also forced to sleep in the balcony, exposed to cold temperatures. After 30 days, Junko could not urinate properly due to damaged internal organs and vulva from foreign objects being inserted inside her and burns from cigarettes and lighters. Her hands and feet were damaged severely, and it took her over an hour to crawl downstairs to the bathroom. Her eardrums were also damaged and her brain size was reduced. During 44 days, when she was repeatedly tortured, beaten, and raped, Junko begged her captors several times to just kill her and be done with. They didn't grant her that favor. Instead, on January 4th, 1989, they challenged her on a game of Mahjong Solitaire. She won, and that pissed the boys off. So they treat her to a beating with an iron barbell and fire by setting her legs, arms, face, and stomach alight after pouring lighter fluid on them. Being already several beaten, dehydrated, and malnourished, Junko fell into a shock and died the following day. The murderers stuffed the dead girl's body in a 55-gallon drum filled with concrete and disposed of it in Koto, Tokyo. 2 weeks later, the police arrested Miyano and Ogura on separate gang rape charge. During Miyano's interrogation, the police mentioned an open murder investigation, believing that it was the murder of Furuta and Ogura must have confessed. Miyano told the police where they could find Furuta's body. In the end, the murder case which the police had been referencing had been unrelated to Furuta, and Miyano's unwittingly returned himself in. Within days, all 4 boys were in custody. Despite their unspeakable torture of Junko's Furuta, the boys received shockingly light sentences. Because they were all underage when the crime was committed, they were tried as juveniles. Eventually, they faced sentences of adults except for the court withheld their identities. Still, given the severity of their crimes, the sentences they were handed out were relatively low. 3 of the boys served less than 8 years. The leader had intentionally been sentenced to 17 years in prison, but after his appeal, Judge Ryuji Yanase bumped his sentence to 20 years instead of lowering his sentence. The same judge also increased the punishment for 2 bored boys who appealed. One didn't, so his sentence stayed as was. Either way, they're all in their late 30s and all out of jail.
What's crazy to me is that, like, she could have been saved literally if the cops, like, just stepped in.
Yes.
All it took for them was like, oh, no, nothing's going on here. Maybe you got the wrong house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, okay. And then they just leave?
No.
What
and
is
they got
that?
fired. They got fired after that. Because they're supposed to, like, actually walk in and check to see what was really happening.
Yeah, no, honestly, it was a lot worse, in my opinion. Because it's like, you could have saved this girl's life. That was, like, maybe what? Wasn't it, like, 10, 15 days in or something like that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like she still could have recovered, basically. She still could have led, like, a full life. God. I think out of all the ones that I've heard, this one's definitely one of the worst.
Yeah.
I've never heard a case where it's like, where one person goes through all of that and then goes through, like, immense amount of torture just because these kids are bored.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or, like, they had a bad day or something, like, pissed them off and just, like, they take it out on her.
Right. Yeah. And also because because the guy got rejected.
Yeah.
That pissed him off. So let's rape her and torture this girl because she did that to me.
Fucking awful.
It's horrible. And I think I was also doing other research. When they found her body, she was pregnant. But to know who was the dad or whatever, she got raped so many times.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what she went through. I just can't. And it's sad because, like, this still happens even, like these days.
Yeah, like now
And
it's like easier to like catch and people will come forward
yeah.
and speak up, but it's like the fact that it still happens, but not to
Hmm.
this extreme anymore. It's
Yeah.
oh my
And
god.
what makes me mad is the parents knew what was happening. And it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy, but they were so scared because they were in the Yakuza. I'm like, what?
Like
And
that's
like,
your kid. Take
yeah,
responsibility.
exactly, yeah. And like, they blamed her because their son went to jail, even though they pretty much they did murder her, and they only got a little bit of sentences. Like, huh? That makes no sense. It's horrible.
It really is. I was looking into some like the details of like the case as well. It's like basically she was what, she was 16 and she got raped about
Hmm.
500 times.
Yeah, over.
And it's like at one point she was raped by 12 different guys in one day.
Hmm. Yeah,
Fucking
yeah. I can't even.
yeah, because like even like reading it now, because I heard it, you know, before we were like, you sent me the podcast and it was like we were listening to like the story and
Hmm.
kind of like talking about it, and like even reading now like the details and everything is just
Yeah, it's gruesome and it's horrible, and
it's disgusting.
nobody should go through that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
It
For
really is.
44 days. Like, she went through so much. I'm pretty sure it felt like forever for her. And
No,
like,
yeah.
she would do anything that they would tell her to do, and she still got tortured. And for what? That's what I don't get. Like, for what? Like, if you're bored, go to the arcade or something, you know? You don't have to
Yeah.
torture a person. Like, there's
So many
other
things to do,
ways.
you know. But it's just
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's like because there's so many serial killers out there where it's just like really it's just all in their head. You know what I mean? Like they're
Mhm.
just fucked up people.
Yeah,
That's all it
yeah,
comes down to. It's like they're just really messed up.
yeah.
Oh god, but no, like whenever I was like hearing the story, I was like hearing that at night. I was like, yeah, I'll just I'll listen to it and then we'll end up talking about it like on the podcast.
Yeah,
And I was like editing and I was like I had to stop editing a couple times because I was like, what did I
yeah.
just hear? I was like
Yeah,
I went
it's
back and I was
like
like, what the fuck?
you just can't believe what they're saying. Yeah, that's what I was telling Mr. Gentleman. I was like, get ready, this one's really like hardcore. And he was like, I can't wait to listen to it. All excited. But
Oh
yeah,
my
it's
god,
horrible.
it really is. If you guys haven't really looked into the story much, or maybe you're looking to get more details or something more in depth, like we're going through it and we're talking about it, but we're not really like explaining every little thing
Yeah.
because honestly it's more it's more of our choice. Like if we
Mhm.
were to like really break it down, it's a lot worse if you read through the whole case and everything that
Yeah.
happened, but it's like we're giving a brief description because it's really too much, and it's honestly one of the worst cases that we've heard of.
Yeah.
All this to happen
Definitely.
to a kid. You know, she was a kid.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and they made books out of this case and also a movie,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't seen the movie or read the books
I didn't
because
even know
I'm
there was
pretty
a
sure.
movie.
Yeah, there's a movie. I think in Japanese. Things on YouTube. I don't know. I haven't checked. I'm too scared to even. I can't. No.
Oh my god.
Um, but yeah, this is one of the worst case I've ever heard in my life.
Man. But yeah, no, like I said, if you guys are, I mean, like if you're curious on looking more into like the case itself, like, I mean, it's up there, you know, and like there's a movie about it. I didn't even know there was a movie, but
Yeah, there's a movie.
just letting you guys know, there was a warning before we started, and there is a
Yeah.
warning now at the end as we're talking about it. because if you are gonna go ahead and look into the details, like just be warned, it is very graphic, and there are photos of the case itself as
Yeah.
well.
Mhm.
So just be careful. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Don't want you guys like come back and you're like, oh my god, you guys ruined. I couldn't sleep. I had nightmares. I was
Right.
like, hey,
Yeah.
we said before we started. I was like, hey, this one is rough. It's
Mhm.
heavy. It's brutal.
Yeah. Really bad.
Well, there you have it. That's our first one. We're gonna be doing this. I want to say weekly. We're gonna be doing it weekly, or like every other week, depending
Mhm.
on, because we have a bunch of like different other little segments that we
Yeah.
do. So, um, but if you guys have a case or um, even if it's like an unsolved or solved, and you guys want us to go through it and maybe like talk about it, we could even like stream it as we're like going through the case together, and you
Yeah.
guys can go ahead and jump in the chat and talk to us. Um, but yeah, no, this one's gonna be a ongoing series, so make sure you tune in for that. Is there anything you want to say?
Um. No, I'm just traumatized right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I'm
yeah.
just
No,
like,
it's
yeah, doing like the research and seeing more of the details they did to her. I was just like, oh my god. Uh, I yeah. But no, like what Mr. Gentleman said, if you guys have any suggestions of
mm-hmm.
any true crime, let us know. I think I already have another one. They made it into a movie, but
Oh boy.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what we'll do.
Yeah.
See
All right. As per usual, check the description. We have all our socials there. We have the link to the gaming channel as well as the stream. I'll make sure to add. I don't think I added it last time. I forgot, but the code for the promotions that we got for the gaming channel. You guys can check them out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.